Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Amid rising tensions between the United States of America and Venezuela, Venezuela Ambassador to St. Vincent and the Grenadines Francisco Perez has called on CARICOM member states to stand in solidarity with Venezuela and oppose the growing U.S. military presence near its borders. Speaking at a press briefing today, Ambassador Perez warned of the negative impact such military action could have on the wider Caribbean region. He argued that the fight against drug cartels, often used to justify increased military surveillance, could be pursued through other means, and claimed the current strategy is being used as a pretext to target Venezuela.
The regionalized trade blockade may affect supply chain for nearby islands. Violation of principle of the CELAC and UN Charter. This action threatened the independence of Caribbean countries in the face of external diplomatic and military pressure. By allowing impunity for aggressive action, the entire multilateral system that has protected the Caribbean in its history of resistance is weakened. For this reason, we call on the Caribbean people and government to raise their voices to support the defense of our shared sovereignty and to oppose hegemonic pretension in the Caribbean Sea as a united region.
The ambassador referenced recent reports that the United States is seeking to establish surveillance instruments at an airport in Grenada, suggesting it could be a part of a broader plan to monitor regional waters and increase military control in the area.
Domino effect in the other region. If the U.S. managed to military control part of the Caribbean, it can impose maritime exclusion zones, close maritime routes between the island, condition alliance intervention or naval base. That would fragment the maritime world of Caribbean integration. We saw just last week the U.S. asking Grenada to establish their some equipment, so radar. So that is the beginning of the imposition and control from the U.S. To the Caribbean people and the Caribbean government.
Ambassador Perez also criticized U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, which have been in place since 2014, including the seizure of Venezuelan funds held overseas. He reiterated that Venezuela remains resilient and determined despite ongoing economic and diplomatic pressures. The ambassador's remarks come at a time of heightened geopolitical tensions and increasing concern among Caribbean nations about the political militarization of the region and its consequences for small island states. The Chief Operating Officer of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Port Authority, Wallen Nichols, says the newly constructed port facility is expected to create a significantly improved environment for both the general public and staff members. Speaking on WFM today, Nichols noted that the Port Authority continues to play a critical role in the country's economic development, a role that is being strengthened through the establishment of a new governance body known as the Modern Port Operations Company, or MPOC.
When you look at the existing structure that is in place where the maritime sector is concerned, the Port Authority essentially over the years really has been playing more of a dual role. The Port Authority has not only been operator, but also a regulator, and it's like regulating yourself. So with the construction of this modern port facility, it has pretty much created an opportunity to look at a new governance structure as it regards how we go forward as a maritime sector in St. Vincent. And as such, the timing would have been ripe for us to now have port operator and port regulator. So essentially what is going to happen is that MPOC or SVG-POC will be the operator, and the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Port Authority will now be performing its true role as always intended to be regulator.
Nichols clarified, however, that the MPOC will not replace the existing Port Authority. Instead, it will serve as a complementary body, enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of port operations while maintaining all current benefits for employees and stakeholders.
Port Authority headquarters is still to be confirmed. However, MPOC will be at the new modern port facility. As I said, MPOC will manage and operate the new port facility, as well as the cruise and our CARICOM operations, which will remain at the existing port facility in Kingston as we know it. Old port facility, just to distinguish. The intention is for us to transfer staff from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Port Authority to MPOC with all of their benefits, to include years of service, existing salary, and the like.
The COO further explained that the MPOC will function as a one-stop shop service hub designed to simplify the process for both individuals and businesses. This integrated approach is expected to reduce bureaucracy, streamline port services, and ultimately improve customer experience.
Well, first and foremost, the new port facility is a modern one, as you've been hearing all along the line, and it comes with a more conducive environment for staff, and not only staff but the general public at large. We would have also done some streamlining of our operations to include the creation of a comfortable, air-conditioned, one with seating, and pretty much a one-stop shop for the customers who are doing their personal effects operations. So we have now separated our personal effects operations from our commercial cargo operations. And for the customers who will transact business at the personal effects shed, or the CFS as we refer to it as, those customers will do so in a very comforting environment. We have introduced a ticketing system, and that is to ensure that there is some degree of control and order with which we transact business. The signage will also be utilized to make sure that persons are able to navigate the facility.
Superintendent of Police Parnell Brown has provided an update on the ongoing modernization of the nation's road network, outlining several key changes that will accompany the development of the new port facility in Kingstown. He made the remarks during the Police on the Beat program aired last night on NBC Radio. SOP Brown explained that the construction of the new port has necessitated major adjustments to traffic routes and surrounding infrastructure in the area close to the facility. One of the most notable changes involves the road located beside the paint shop, which will now serve as the main entrance to the port compound. This move is part of the broader modernization strategy aimed at improving access and efficiency.
Now, we all know the location of the new modern port facility. And we are quite aware that with new development will come change in the way the traffic flow here in Kingston. As it relates to the entry of motor vehicle traffic into the port, all vehicles entering the new modern port facility will enter down at Spirit Bar, McCoy Street, straight across. Now, buses and cars who wishes also to enter the port have to enter via that route.
SOP Vrong further noted that this entrance will also be shared with public transport vehicles, specifically buses operating from the Leeward Bus Terminal, which will now use the same access route for both entry and exit.
For the buses that are going to enter the Leeward Bus Terminal, you must enter at the area at Spirit Bar also, in order to gain access to the Leeward Bus Terminal. The entry will be on that side, just the gap opposite where normally used to be the exit for the bus terminal before the commencement of work at the New Kingston Port is now going to be the entry point for that bus terminal. And the exit point will be just in front of the paint shop.
According to SOP Brown, the changes are intended to enhance traffic flow, reduce congestion, and improve overall safety both for motorists and pedestrians in the area. The traffic department, he said, will take the lead in implementing the necessary changes to ensure a smooth and orderly transition.
When you're exiting on the extension of Melville Street, the portion of road from the intersection at Melville Street to the intersection of Higginson Street will be made into a 3-lane.
Okay.
That portion of road. That is to accommodate vehicles turning left. It will give you more space for you to maneuver. And for the vehicles that will drive down on Bay Street with the intention of turning right, you will occupy the center lane from the portion of road at Melville to the portion of road at Higginson Street.
Okay.
And for the persons who wishes to go down to Randy's, to Spirit Bar, or to exit on Linley Street, or you want to go down to Queen Street, you use the southern lane, which is the outer lane closest to Courier's building, and go straight ahead.
Superintendent Brown also issued a call for public cooperation, urging all road users to remain alert and follow the official directions once the new traffic patterns are introduced. In other news, Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Salves has dismissed claims that the Under-19 international cricket matches were deliberately removed from being hosted at the Arnesville playing field. Speaking at a news conference yesterday during the launch of the new port company, Prime Minister Gonsalves explained that the venue will instead host CONCACAF football matches due to a scheduling conflict between the two sporting events.
Cricket team not coming to the competition, not coming to St. Vincent. We say no. It's the simple reason. It had nothing to do with the fact that Shallow is president of Cricket West Indies and Shallow is running for the NDP in North Leeward, and that Shallow had earlier not given us an Australian game on some spurious ground, which had met with condemnation all about. The simple fact of the matter is that there's a request for it, and there's an alternative use, which the Football Federation wrote us. They have a woman competition. So there's one place you have to do it. Are you going to keep our women from getting an opportunity to advance in football through CONCACAF? As against, I would have loved the people to come from India and from where? England.
Dr. Gonsalves clarified the procedure for booking national sporting venues, noting that local sporting bodies are required to submit requests to the National Sports Council for use of the facilities. However, in cases involving international events, the Minister of Sports must also be informed, which was done in this instance.
Having any competition, international competition here, for any facility, it involves security. That's a critical issue. It involves the medical arrangements which have to be made. So many, just like when we had the World Cup. When the World Cup, when they wanted to hold the World Cup here, the minister, they wrote me too. This is an international competition. But when the Football Federation understood that there was going to be this, this was being suggested, they wrote a strong and vociferous letter. They said, what is happening? We have indicated we want this place. If you have one facility and there's a choice, well, for me, I must tell you this. If the women in St. Vincent and Grenadines and the women historically have suffered from a debilitating patriarchy in our Caribbean, including here, they're having an opportunity to excel at perhaps the CONCACAF. Why must...
Addressing public concerns about the potential economic impact of not hosting the Under-19 cricket matches, Prime Minister Gansaf said he could not confirm whether the country had missed out on millions of dollars, as has been suggested. The Prime Minister's comments come in response to public discussion over the decision and calls for greater transparency in how major sporting events are scheduled and prioritized in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The St. Martin's Secondary School has officially launched its Agriculture Science program in collaboration with the Zero Hunger Trust Fund, marking a significant milestone in advancing agricultural education and promoting food security in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Minister of Agriculture Subota Caesar delivered remarks at the launch, emphasizing the shared vision of empowering youth through education and encouraging the adoption of sustainable agricultural practices nationwide.
I have a mantra that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we must ensure that we have food security and that we have food sovereignty. It means that we have to work together so that food will always be available, affordable, and accessible. You are going to have a very critical role to play on this journey. And I remember as a child coming to St. Martin's, I would stop at the Sicky Grave supermarket and sell my bucket of cherries because we had a cherry tree in the backyard. And I would pick the cherries in the morning and see me walking down with the mighty foam. The bucket and the convent girls are laughing, asking if I'm going to wash. And from that cherry tree, I was able to not only buy lunch, but to help to cover the cost of my bus fare. And that is why today I endorse that backyard farmers must also be given a farmer's ID, because I know that throughout the length and breadth of this country, there are backyard farmers who are utilizing the small spaces around their homes. I see my brother is nodding, around their homes to earn a living.
Director and the CEO of the Zero Hunger Trust Fund, Shafia Hornbeek, encouraged the students to view agriculture as a strategic pillar for national development, especially in a world facing evolving challenges such as climate change, food insecurity, and economic instability.
Today's signing ceremony marks the beginning of our collaboration, not just to provide financial support, but to provide technical assistance, mentorship and guidance for our students. Also today, we will be in a short while having a ceremonial planting of a fruit tree as part of our World Food Day celebration that this year is being celebrated under the theme Hand in Hand for Better Food, Better Future. Couldn't be more apt that we are talking to our future today. The tree is going to be a living symbol of what we can do when we decide to claim our own food security. It will nourish our students, bear fruits, and remind students who partake that sustainability begins with the simple act of planting. And the belief that we nurture today, what we nurture today, can feed us tomorrow. Students, especially the young men who are going to provide the food for the young ladies. I'm telling you, we can provide our own food, but we're happy for the help. I encourage you to see agriculture not just as soil and seed, but as a science, a strategy for innovation and development. The world is changing, and the most powerful nation will be those who can feed themselves. You have a role to play in that future.
Also addressing the gathering was Danny Lee Francis, Marketing and Communications Manager at GECU, who underscored the importance of self-resilience and the role of the program in fostering independence and innovation among youth.
In the room with us today is the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Saboto Caesar. And every time I've had the privilege of being in a room with him, he has the same song. He hasn't recorded it yet, but he has the same tune. It hasn't changed, and it's only been amplified. He keeps talking about the importance of food security in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He keeps talking about self-reliance, which is an important factor in what we're doing here today. He asks us to be reliant on our own powers and resources rather than those of others. I am here representing GECU to let you know that we are proud to collaborate with the Zero Hunger Trust Fund on this project. We at GECU, we are an indigenous organization, and we are deeply rooted in our communities. And so our community members, they expect that their financial institution, their credit union, will invest in the things that are meaningful to them. And this project with the Zero Hunger Trust Fund is a meaningful project. And I would like to thank Mrs. Beek for coming to GECU, engaging with us, so that we can make a timely investment like this in this project. It is meaningful. As I said before, it is timely, and it is absolutely necessary. Based on the tensions and the geopolitical atmosphere out there, we have to pay attention to the fact that we have to rely on ourselves.
The school's agriculture science program is expected to open new avenues for student learning, hands-on experience, and agricultural innovation in line with the national goals of sustainable food production, youth empowerment, and community resilience. Still on the local scene, Minister of Finance and Member of Parliament for East St. George, Camilla Gonsalves, says the Unity Labour Party, ULP, remains steadfast in its commitments to ensuring that Vincentians retain full ownership of their future. Speaking last evening on Star Radio, Gonsalves highlighted the government's continued efforts to empower citizens through inclusive and sustainable national developments. He emphasized the government's development agenda focuses on long-term improvements in education, housing, healthcare, and economic independence, ensuring that these pillars of national progress remain accessible to all Vincentians.
Your future, ruling your destiny, understanding that the government is your partner, is your supporter, is your guarantor of certain things, but that at the end of the day, you as an individual must take advantage of the opportunities that the government is providing so that you can indeed own your future. That's our message. We've been working, we are working, and why are we working? So that you can own your future.
Furthermore, the finance minister issued a warning about the opposition's policy direction, arguing that it poses a threat to the nation's progress. He claimed that the opposition's proposals could sell our future by undermining citizens' ability to earn and by moving towards the privatization of essential services, particularly in sectors like healthcare.
The opposition has another view. They want to sell your future. They want to sell your passport, which will compromise your future movements and money earning ability. They want to sell your healthcare to private interests, which will mean that healthcare is privatized and every little service you go to get at a hospital or a clinic will cost you 3, 4, 5, 10 times as much money as you're paying now. They want to sell out to China and sell out the Taiwanese. They want to sell. We want you to own. It's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Gonsalves reaffirmed the ULP government's position that public welfare and national prosperity must remain under control of the people, not driven by external or profit-oriented interests. Vice President of the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, and a Member of Parliament for Central Kingston, Major Cynthia Leacock, during a meeting in Redemption Shops over the weekend, declared that past Prime Ministers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are turning in their graves over the current state of national affairs. Leacock voiced serious concern over access rights to the popular Mountain Beach, which is earmarked to be developed into a beaches resort, Sandals International.
So James Mitchell bought the Mountain lands from the Cassans who owned those estates. He built a road to come inside from the coast so we could develop tourism in the area, but do not obstruct the right and privilege of the beaches. Ralph Gonsalves, Everett, and Mitchell will turn in his grave, has taken those same lands that Mitchell bought from the plantation owners for us and given it back for $42 million, so that the time will come when you and your grandchildren, cannot go to Mount Win and roast a breadfruit, boil a fish, roast some pork, fat-free, go in the water and do it like, because you have to beg somebody to let me give a pass to your land.
The veteran parliamentarian called for a greater sense of national responsibility when it comes to spending habits, criticizing what he sees as a culture of consumerism abroad.
If you're telling me that $500 million will bring 2,000 jobs, 2,000, I am telling you, and Bruce will support me, $100 million to process all the fruits and what we have in St. Vincent by a food processing plant will create over 10,000 jobs. You understand that? The same way we're taking millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars and giving it to people overseas to take our natural resources, we can spend it on ourselves to create more jobs and opportunities. And that's why I say, when I'm driving through, and both Luce would like to hear me say that, when I'm driving through Sharps and Green Hill and Largo Height and Murray Village, and I put down the glass on my window and I see you on the block, I'm going to stop. I'm going to say, what are you doing here? Why are you not at work? And whatever answer you give to me, I'm going to say, there's a job there, and there, and there, and there. Because I want to see our men and women to go back to work.
Leacock also turned his attention to the ongoing infrastructure challenges, specifically highlighting the poor road conditions in Redemption Shops community. He described the roads as unacceptable and dysfunctional to some extent and urged the government to prioritize repairs and regular maintenance.
In Central Kingston, there are some things we have to do. When we go up Wrong Hill there, that's where name Kenny in there. Where Pat and them live. You have to walk to some people's yard, slip over, gutter, watch a boundary mark. Listen, it's terrible. The only thing you can do there, that's not cement and lumber and galvanized. That's complete redevelopment. You have to get your architect and your permission and your land and your surveys department to go and clear the place and give people good, proper and decent housing and living. The same thing at the back of Starlift. The same thing down in this and Cottage wrong by the praise house below there. The same thing up in Green Hill down in the hole where we walk, Paul, where people have to take lasso and go down in the river like Tarzan and cross from pallet and sacks of cement. It's deplorable. The country and the constituency needs complete overhaul.